more. I guess I took my cues a little off. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I know we took a break last week. That was unexpected, but we plan on doing some great things this week to make up for the lost times that we had. We're going to stream tonight, and then we'll be doing a very live and new session, which is a back to back, kind of like Drake, next week, where we will go deeper into different topics like I think you guys all love, which is in Seth's specialties, which is political ideologies such as Nordic and different.
Ideologies, Nordic Model. We'll talk social safety net. Those
Yes,
are maybe healthcare a little bit too, kind of under the social safety net
yeah,
umbrella, but
because me and Seth have been talking about we want to get more back into policies. I know we've been kind of gearing towards some of these political or presidential nominees because that's right now what's on the news. But we want to get more into our policy driven stuff. So we're going to go back to our roots, start talking about that, and we're going to start showing different social programs that we can implement now and the current crisis that we are in now, and how those social programs actually help. We want to thank Justice for joining us tonight. Justice got here before I did, um, and we want to thank him. Justice has been almost a very important contributor because he comes on almost weekly when we are on here,
at least
and
every other week.
at
He's
least
always
every other week.
Yeah, I try to
And
be.
yeah, and his insight always gives me his insights and his perspective always gives the conversation a very um, different realm of thinking. I think that me and Seth have kind of like-minded thinkingness, and if that's a word. And
yeah.
justice brings a perspective that's great because we get to see um, how to look at issues and problem solutions in a different light, which is always awesome. And thanks for coming in, Justice. We appreciate it.
Yeah, there's generally not a lot of discourse other than
Great to be here.
liberal, progressive. There's not a lot of people covering, the anti-authoritarian left as much, the anarchist left. It's definitely a perspective that needs to be touched on a little bit more.
Yes, it does. Now we're gonna talk about like I said, we're gonna have two episodes. One's gonna be social and gonna be policy driven. That's gonna be tomorrow. But for tonight, we have to talk about the elephants in the room. The Republicans get it, elephant in the room. No, we have to talk about the elephants in the room, and we're gonna talk about some of yeah. Jenny's looking at me right now because I said a bad joke. And well, anyone doesn't know, Jean's my wife, and she judges me because she says I can't tell jokes. But so for today, to get back on topic, we will be talking about the new people entering the presidential race from the Democratic side, from different political party sides, because we do have some interesting candidates who are not uh, affiliated with the two political parties system, and we will be discussing their candidacies, their shots, you know, their aspirations that might die very early, but still the aspirations.
Yeah.
Um, and we will be discussing that, and we'll be diving deep into their perspective.
And
I
we'll
said,
touch on many other current events going on. It's just our last episode was about the pretty much the same topic, but if a new candidate announces, we have to cover that.
exactly.
And we've had several announcements in the last 2 weeks. So
Yeah. So one of them, which I thought was very interesting, and you guys can chime in on this, is Cornel West.
yeah,
Cornel West is a professor and a progressive activist, and he's running under the People's Party. Are you guys familiar with the People's Party? Just want to break that down a
unfortunately,
bit. Okay, so
yes.
explain that to me. What's kind of ideology? Where do you stand?
All right, if you take the People's Party and their proclaimed platform, they're probably one of the best political parties in the country. But if you talk about the people in the People's Party, the organization, it is abhorrent. And the founder is like accused of all this like sexual assault shit. And like the people that gravitate towards the People's Party generally are not people that we would want to associate with. Just kind of like just really like the Jimmy Dore types, I feel like, and
Mhm.
Ryan Knight, just the people that don't take common sense into into the picture. And I don't know, it's really weird that Cornel West chose this party, but I kind of understand it. I don't think he really understands that institutional failures of the People's Party. It doesn't really make sense for him to choose somebody or choose a party that doesn't have any ballot access. That's the thing I don't understand. He'd probably be better off just as an independent or running as a Green Party because the Green
Yeah.
Party has ballot access in 48 states. So it's like
Oh,
they at
really?
least yeah, they at least would have a shot at winning theoretically.
But here's
But
a question: this People Party, have they not tried to get on the ballot? Or are they trying this for the
they're
first time?
they're pretty new. They're pretty new.
Okay, okay.
They're a brand. They probably like 2020 or something. They've never fielded candidates before, so
So what's going on with the Ford Party? Are they going to bring out a presidential
I
nominee?
doubt it. I doubt it. They will in the future, but I'm not seeing them.
Because I think they would have more of, I guess, more of a backing to be like a new political party.
Yeah,
But I don't see a lot of candidates who run under their ticket. Are they not just running any candidates?
I think that they just endorse. I mean, we already know they almost endorsed you, so
Yeah,
they endorse like people across the party. They'll endorse Republicans, proclaimed Republicans, and they'll endorse Democrats, independents. So I don't know. I don't see why they endorse Republicans because other than what's that one Republican that ran for mayor who was in favor of UBI? I don't know. There's not very many Republicans that would
yeah,
fall under that category. I don't know.
yeah.
But
Just
the forward party's kind of like shedded all their original platform ideas and now they're just sort of like big tent, ranked choice voting and the duopoly and they don't have any real principles anymore. I still think it would make more sense for Cornel West to run on forward party platform, but whatever.
yeah,
He's kind of nuking his name right now.
Does the Forward Party really even have a platform though? They're just like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
They,
like
they
I can't imagine
originally did.
an actual presidential candidate run by them.
Initially, they were still sticking with UBI. They were talking about ranked choice voting. They were talking about just a handful of Yang's platform ideas, but they've kind of really dropped everything. If you look at their website, it's like complete nothing burger.
yeah. I don't understand like a party like that, which I thought had so much promise. How come they didn't just start small? Pick a state. I mean, Yang's from New York. Pick a state like New York. Run a couple of state house candidates. Run a couple of state senate candidates. Then try to governor house, and then try to run for president. Um,
I almost think it would work better the opposite way, where I feel like they need to get some national attention first, and I feel like
well, I feel like the
if
national
Yang actually ran, it would probably influence a lot more people to run under the party banner. But I don't know.
the problem is the problem with running a national election is it's so hard to cut the noise of the two party system. But if you come from underneath, this is what Republicans been doing for the last 50 to like 70 years, excuse me. They always let the Democrats win kind of these national races, and then secretly underneath they win all the state house races.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
they let them win the national races, but they're much more effective at.
the
Uh,
state level.
yeah, because I mean, if you think, I mean, first of all, they do a lot better in like state legislatures, so they can gerrymander districts a lot better in their favor, and they cover a lot more rural ground, so that
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to campaign and uh, take over a lot of the smaller seats. When if you take like the entire state, you're going to have more liberals than Republicans. But if you start picking individual seats, it's a lot easier. Like Michigan has been like until recently they've been the Republicans have controlled the legislature yet it being despite it being a blue state for like decades.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of been their strategy, which the Democrats have. Like you're right, the Democrats have really ignored the grassroots uh, platform seats. They need to focus a lot more on mayors and city councilmen and stuff like that if they want to actually influence policy.
Yeah. I think that's the best way for the poor party to go. I'm not sure. I think they should run a candidate this year. I mean, if anything, if you ask me, this is probably the closest that I think a third party could do. This is my
Yeah.
theory. I think a third party can really actually do damage this time because I don't really think no one cares too much about both parties right now in terms of like
Yeah.
feeling a sense of like a sense of moving forward as a country. I think a lot of people see both parties as stagnant
Yeah.
the way things are, and so I think like a third party, different ideas, different ways can really pick up traction. You know, kind of what Bernie did this cycle, but I just the fourth part kind of disappointed me because I really thought they would actually be able
Yeah.
to.
They still have time, but I'm not too optimistic about them making much of an impact. But I've been saying, like, if Matthew McConaughey wanted to run as the forward party candidate or something, they would get 20%. Like they would, they're
Yeah,
I think what is it, 60% of Americans don't want to vote for either party or something like that. It's there's room for it. It's just actually getting ballot access, getting on the debate stage. It's just such a process. I don't know what Cornel West is thinking. Like he
nah,
is probably one of the most prominent third party people. I mean, obviously Kanye, but nobody took him seriously, obviously. But
no,
I do think he has more potential to actually be a spoiler candidate than any other, or at least take a bigger portion of the Democratic vote than any other candidate I can think of.
no, I agree. I
Did
definitely
you
agree.
know about Cornel West before all this?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about him. He does a lot of black radio
Oh, okay.
shows, and he talks about a lot of the
Yeah, he's an incredibly insightful person. He's
yeah, very
very,
insightful,
very brilliant person.
very
He
brilliant.
just,
I don't know if he's too brilliant. I always say that.
yeah,
That's why I said that, but same thing by Yang, excuse me, Andrew Yang. I said Americans like smart people; they don't like brilliant people. I don't know why.
yeah,
This elections when you come off too brilliant, Americans don't like that. It's just
yeah. I think what you're saying is like sometimes being too nuanced about like
yes,
yeah, people who are partisan do have opinions. They're not going to be like, oh well, it's not really the Republicans' fault that everything is going down. It's blah blah. Corporate media. People want to blame Republican voters, so
yeah,
it's not always like a popular opinion for him to take. And he'll have all these. He's such a good person that he doesn't see people based on their political views. He'll have a genuine conversation with Candace Owens and Gavin McInnes and like just trying to change their minds, even though
yeah,
we all know it's like they're completely lost. And I don't know, just affiliating with tons of people like that have so much controversy around them really gives him a bad name sometimes. But I
yeah.
don't know. This is a prime example where, bro, the People's Party is not the choice. It's not the move. Uh,
No,
they're-
if you're gonna do
no, go ahead.
you might as well just run as a Democrat at that point.
Yeah,
And I get why people don't want to run as a Democrat because they don't want to identify with everything that the Democrats stand for, and I get
yeah.
it. I mean,
Or it's more
progressive.
the DNC, not even
Yeah, the
Democratic
DNC,
voters.
yeah, the DNC stands for. I mean, I think us progressive, we've been saying that for a while that the DNC is really not kind of aligned as to what we believe,
Yeah,
and so I understand why people will run another party, but I don't. I agree with you. I don't think that's a smart move to get on a ticket that they don't even have access to the ballots because
yeah.
that is a process that takes years upon years to get that access, and that
Or like just incredible amount of grassroots support, like Ross Perot, where you can like really get like the signatures you need to get on the ballot in every state. You need support in every state. You need to be campaigning in every state. So I don't know. He would if he really wanted to have done this, he should have campaigned 2 years ago. Like
exactly would
yeah,
made no sense because I mean, right now what he has. When is the first primaries in February, March?
I'm actually not sure.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about primaries, so I mean, he
Yeah,
can still do it because he doesn't. He's not going to be primaried.
yeah,
So
exactly.
he has what? We're in June. 5. That's yeah. That's pretty short. It's a year and 5 months to do it. It's almost what 17 months. It's tough.
Yeah, it's always possible, but it's not likely. It's very unlikely that
Yeah,
he'll be very successful with this. I don't know.
yeah,
I find it more likely that he'll drop out before actually the votes even are counted. So, but we'll see.
yeah. I think it's
It's
best.
definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also could lay the groundwork for 2028.
I don't
Um,
know if he'll want to run at that time. He's getting old.
yeah, sure too.
Yeah, but maybe he is trying to just platform the People's Party for some reason. I don't know.
Mm,
I mean, we definitely need a workers' party, and I just think the Democrats are, we have there's at least a shot based on 2016. You know what I mean? There's a
mm,
there's a shot that it could be taken over by grassroots progressives and stuff like that. But
we could be done.
it's an uphill battle. But I mean, it's a lot easier than running under the People's Party.
That's true.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. He's definitely not. He's definitely opened himself up for a lot of criticism, which I don't know if that's going to help him. I like even running as an independent would be better. It just would.
Yeah, it'll be tough.
Yeah,
Well, to be continued on him.
yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, Marianne Williamson, she'll pull at like 10%, and they won't give her any attention. They won't even mention her in the polls. Like
uh,
it's so weird. I don't know why they're doing like I don't get it because they'll
you see what they
platform
did.
RFK, and he is much more out there views. Like his views are very much against the Democratic Party in certain places where it's like I don't understand why they are giving him so much attention versus Marion Williamson, who's just like a regular progressive. And I
Yeah,
don't know. It's not like RFK has been in politics either, but either way, they're not really giving any attention to. They're not giving town halls to either of them when like Republicans left and right. I keep saying left and right when I don't know. They'll town hall. They'll give town halls to like any Republican. They'll give it to Chris Christie. They'll give it to any of these guys, and they don't have a shot. They'll pull at like 5%. Mike Pence is going to get a town hall. Like
Mike Pence is getting a town hall.
they're all going to get a town hall because at least they're having a primary process for the Republicans. The Democrats are really doing their best to skip the primary process.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Mary Williamson. She's at
I believe that she's pulling it like her average is like 10% or something like that. When RFK's is maybe 20%, and
yeah,
um, yeah, I mean they're not giving any attention to either of them. They're just ignoring that there is a primary. Technically, Biden's not inaugurated, so
yeah. I mean, they're not. That should still be kind of scary. I mean, they're still pulling at 20%.
yeah,
Usually,
that's what I'm saying. They're
if
doing
you're
better than Ron DeSantis,
yeah, yeah,
or at least equivalent.
that's true. Yeah,
And
20% is a kind of a scary number for Biden. I mean, 30% of the party does not want you to run.
I mean, the bigger percentage of the party doesn't want him to run, but 30% of them won't vote for him. Like I think
Yeah,
60% of the party doesn't want him to run at all.
yeah,
But then that leaves 30% of them who doesn't want him to run, but they're still going to vote for him no matter what. Which is like, come on, bro. I mean, I get it,
yeah.
and I'm probably going to end up voting for Joe Biden, unfortunately, but
Of course, yeah. I mean,
we
I
just hope
definitely
it doesn't get to that point.
no, I definitely voted for Joe Biden if he's on the ticket. I just would love, and maybe not the year for that. Maybe we have to wait 4 years. I just would love something new. I mean, I think we're. I mean, I was just watching this week this Apple. So me and my wife, we kind of watched this. We're big on watching this Apple event. Like every time Apple
Oh,
put a product, we're like,
yeah.
go and watch it. And so Apple introduced this product, which was like this headset that was like $3,500. Obviously, we're not gonna have it, but it was so cool. And I saw the innovation. I saw the vision of where they're trying to go, and I'm just thinking to myself, you know, what's our new vision in America? You know, because I don't hear no candidate really saying where the future of the country is going.
Yeah. Other than
Um,
Marianne Williamson.
yeah, and I feel like this year is just going to be not about, or this next presidential election year, it's not going to be a vision of prosperity in America. It's going to be a vision of we don't like Trump, or we Biden's old, and it's just more of a like, okay, we're just accepting these politicians, and
Yeah.
there's really no politician who's actually inspiring us to go out and see ourselves in a different way, in a different light. And I
Both
think
sides are
that,
campaigning on fear.
yeah, of course, they're both campaigning on fear, and I just think that that's not really inspiring for our next generation. And I
No.
think that we have to. It may not be this election, honestly. This might be the last election of the old people, but
Yeah. It could be
so
the end of the old guard, but we'll see. All right. Well, Justice had to head out. It's all
yeah,
right. We had him for for about 10 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah. We always have tomorrow too. We'll see
Yeah,
how
we
it
have
goes.
tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be good. Yeah, and so I really think that the inspiration is gone, and the and imagination of what we're gonna be as a country is gone. And I think that that's kind of what politics is supposed to do, is to kind of lead us and usher us into a new generation. And I feel like kind of similar to what JFK did, Barack Obama did. This is an inspirational message that gets us to a different peak of what America is. And I don't see it in none of these candidates that are running or even declared. And I just hope that next 4 years we have someone that can actually inspire in this next generation of thinking and innovation. Um, with that being said, Doug Burgum.
I'm
That's a
glad we're touching
weird,
on it.
it's a weird segment, but this,
Somebody I've never heard of until he announced.
yeah, he said. Let me see, Burgum. He jumped in the 2024 presidential race the same day as Mike Pence. That's never good when someone has to mention someone else. The governor
Birdman.
golf course bid comes after North Dakota legislature completed its legislative session in May. So he's a governor from North Dakota. Someone explain to me what comes out of North Dakota, because I have no idea.
Uh, really not much. It's like the Badlands. That's what they call it. I think that's like the name of the national park or something like that. So
Yeah. So what do you do? Like, if you go to North Dakota, what is it that you would do in North Dakota?
I don't know. North Dakota is one of the most nothing's happening states that there is. It's just cold and I don't know, barren. It's like the second least populated state, something like that. This guy looks like he's AI generated. Nobody's ever heard of him. He's
Hey, I can hear it.
he's kind of a good looking guy though for a Republican politician. I'm sure he's got some charisma. Did you watch his announcement video?
I did not.
Do you want to?
His uh,
Or is
not
it not
really,
worth doing? Yeah.
not really, because I'm just looking at the population of North Dakota. There's 774,948 people there.
Yeah.
There's more people in the Tampa Bay area than the whole entire state. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's going to be a hard bid there. Yeah, that's tough. He's wanting to run for president to govern 300 million people, or
Yeah.
close to 400
I
million
mean,
people.
Pete Buttigieg ran for president, but
Yeah, he was at least a mayor in Gary, Indiana. Let me
oh,
see.
it was South Bend.
South Bend, Indiana. Yeah,
South Bend's like maybe 100,000 people, so it's
yeah,
way less.
it's 100,000 people, so it's way less. But as we can see, Pete Buttigieg did not become president.
Yeah, true.
There goes the
But,
foreshadowing there.
but what do you think about like the idea that um, I don't know. I think having been a prominent politician during the Trump era is disqualifying to so many people that like this. Oh, it's a new Republican. Oh, he's a governor too. So I don't know. Like Chris Christie, he ran for president. He was affiliated with Trump in certain ways.
Is,
Nikki Haley
Burgum,
was in his administration.
is
But
Burgum
like,
charismatic?
what was that?
Is Burgum charismatic?
He is not like, he's more charismatic than tons of the Republican politicians.
Is he inspiring?
I don't know. He's like somewhere above middle of the road of the current field in charisma. So he could theoretically inspire people or whatever, but just based on the fact that he doesn't have the baggage of the Trump administration. So I don't know. It's possible, but probably not.
I just don't. I mean, all right, fine. You invite me. Let's see what this guy. I'm giving him 2 minutes to prove to me that this guy, Doug Burgum, is the man we've been waiting for.
Do you want to watch the video?
I am going to turn on the video.
Here, I'll pull it up real quick.
Oh, you got it? All right, you got this.
Yeah.
We got 2 minutes to convince me. If you can't give us me in 2 minutes, then doesn't matter.
Does the 2 minutes start? Do the 2 minutes start when the video starts, or when I?
Yeah, when it's video.
Okay, I'm like right now.
First opening 2 minutes. This is all he got right here.
Damn. 1 second. I'm working on it, y'all. That's because I spelled it wrong. See, that's an issue. I keep saying Doug Burgman, but it's Burgum, and people don't even know. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
All right, you all ready?
Yep.
My dad died when I was 14.
What the?
Freshman year of high school. They pulled me off our basketball team bus and told me the news. I grew up in a tiny town in North Dakota. Woke was what you did at 5 a.m. to start the day. A place where neighbors rally around you. My mom was our rock, our hero. I started a shoe shine business, worked at the grain elevator, and as a chimney sweep. Paid my way through college, then earned an MBA from Stanford. I ignored those who said North Dakota was too small, too cold, and too remote to build a world-class software company. So I literally bet the farm to help build a tiny startup into a billion-dollar company with customers in 132 countries. A kid from small-town North Dakota. That's America.
So cut it.
Today, America's facing new challenges, and how we respond will define our future. We need new leadership for our changing economy. Innovation over regulation. Instead of shutting down American oil and gas, we should unleash energy production and start selling energy to our allies instead of buying it from our enemies. High taxes, red tape, and inflation are choking every American. As governor, we cut red tape and took North Dakota from billions in the hole to a surplus. We balanced the budget every year, and we did it all while passing the largest...
Sorry, 2 minutes.
You know what I don't like about these state governments? I love when they balance the budget of the state government.
Yeah.
Here's a tidbit for all our listeners. It's illegal if they don't.
Yeah.
But they all say that. It's like, I've had this accomplishment. It's like, it's not an accomplishment. You violate the law if you spend more money than you have on the state level.
Yeah.
It's like...
And that's another thing about like the national debt is people don't understand how like a country's debt is not the same as like a household debt. Like these conservatives are like, well, I know that if I'm in debt, that I'm blah 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 blah. I got to pay off all this money, and I'm in the hole. And it's completely different with federal government's debts. Debt is just like you spent more money than you taxed. It's not we borrowed money from China, and we have to pay back China, and they're gonna. That's what I was taught when I was a kid. It's like We owe China all this trillions of dollars, and one day they're going to say we want our money back or we're going to war. And I'm like, that's not the reality of the situation, even marginally. Like there are situations in which we do owe certain countries amounts of debt, but it's like it's nothing in proportion to what we technically owe ourselves, but not really that we ever have to pay it back because it's just money we're printing. We just print money and we don't even spend tax money. Tax money is just that we don't have inflation. Inflation happens when you have more money than you have more money in circulation, and it reduces the value of the American dollar. And to reduce that, we take money out of circulation. People pay the money, and then we burn the bills or whatever. I don't know if they burn it. They just dispose of. Each dollar has a what are they called? The codes on the dollar. They track each dollar. They take it out of circulation. It's no longer an American dollar. And they just do that so that we don't have as much money in our currency, and then inflation is not as big of an issue. So that's why we tax. It's not because we're spending that money. The government just spends money, and we have to deal with the consequences of that. That's how the debt works. It's not like we're borrowing money from China so that we can spend money to give to Ukraine. Like conservatives have it completely. And yeah, like you said, state deficits don't really exist.
Exactly. But they always put in their campaign commercials.
Yeah.
But that guy did not convince me he's going to be president of the United States. First of all, the whole video is in North Dakota. He lost me there. It's like, bro, I'm from Florida. If someone's from New York, from California, how are we going to relate to cows and farms and wetlands and the middle? We're not going to relate to that. We don't even know what that is. So. Yeah, that was not a very good.
I think it was a better ad than like Nikki Haley's. Nikki Haley's ad was not good, and she did not come off as charismatic in her announcement video. But
I gotta check her video out. But here's another thing that I noticed: there's not one black Latino in his video anywhere. It's all white.
I don't even remember seeing white people. I just remember seeing him.
Yeah, it was him. But there was I think.
Is there anybody that's not white in North Dakota? I'm pretty sure they have like a 95% white population, so it tracks.
Yeah, that's another problem. And then you look at it, it's like I think his wife was riding a horse with him.
Was that Hopefully his wife?
Yeah, that would be a little awkward. But no, I'm assuming that's his wife. Yeah, not gonna happen. So Burgum, that was interesting, but no.
Yeah.
Chris Christie. All right,
I'm starting to come to your side a little bit. I think Chris. I don't know about how much of the votes he'll actually end up getting, but he's gonna be a big force in the primary for sure.
Oh yeah, like I said, I think Chris Christie's biggest problem is his weight, and people say I'm a fattest, whatever. But the reality is, I don't think people like fat presidents. I just don't. It's be happy, be you, but at the end of the day,
I don't think Republicans care. They'll elect Trump. Republicans are all pretty fat.
But Trump is not that fat. Like Trump is big, but it's not noticeably unhealthy.
He's overweight. He's not
overweight. He's not obese. That's the word. And I think Americans just do not. I hate to say this because it's not true, and there's ugly presidents, obviously, but it's more of a there's some level of shallowness that goes into the presidency. They like the president look kind of fit and stuff like that.
The taller president always wins. I don't know. Well, except I think maybe Joe Biden's maybe a couple inches shorter, but historically, it's pretty true.
It's very true that taller presidents always win. So, and that's ever since JFK, first national televised debate, and ever since that, you're right. Every president's been taller.
Yeah,
has won the race. Yeah. So I think that's Christie's biggest negative is his weight.
I don't think he actually wants to win. I mean, maybe he does, but I think he's.
I think he'll take part Trump. That's what he's.
Yeah. I think there was like something where, out of nowhere, he's like, "I'm not a paid assassin," and it's like nobody accused you of being a paid assassin. It's kind of like, are you though?
That's what the media is making him out to be like. man, he's gonna tear Trump apart because no one else can do it. Only Christie can do it, and everyone knows that. It's like the only person that could probably beat Trump in a debate is Christie. Like the
Yeah.
rest, because we saw what he did to Marco Rubio. He tore him apart.
Nikki
And
Haley won't have much to say against Trump. Tim Scott would be interesting, but I don't think he's going to go hard against Trump at all because I do think he is the most likely of the people running to actually become vice president. But I think Tim Scott has been both Tim Scott and Chris Christie have been they're like the dark horse candidates right now. And DeSantis, every single poll is getting worse. I think he's going to fall off. He might
his
still
numbers
end
going
up
down.
second, but
His numbers going down. I haven't looked at his numbers ever since he announced.
I think okay, to be fair, I think the most recent poll he was actually polling higher than normal, but his
Okay.
approval rating is dropping. That's the
In
biggest thing.
Florida? Oh yeah, because in Florida he created such a shit show in Florida.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know how we can I don't even know how he can bounce back, man. He is like terrible. Like
Yeah.
he just came out with a law 2 days ago that said it literally said that landlords can charge whatever they want in terms of deposit fees. So
Yeah.
like usually security deposit fees are like the first and last month. He's like, no. You landlords, even though you guys are paying $2,500 a month and other people are paying $3,000 a month in rent, guess what? You can charge these people 10 grand to move in here or
Yeah.
7 grand to move in here. You have no limits whatsoever. And it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, who are you appealing to?
like, who asked for this? It's like,
Landlords.
yeah, landlords. That's what you're going after. And you can do that, but guess what? These landlords are going to be stupid because no one's going to pay that $4 grand to come live in your apartment. It's like, no, bro. I go live with my mom for like $500 a month. It's
Yeah.
like, we're going to pay $5 grand. And so all he's doing is creating this system where it's like, it's just so stupid. Like his policies are like, you can tell his
Yeah.
policies are really written based
It's
on
really counterproductive.
counterproductive.
How are you going to incentivize people to move to Florida when it's like that's one of the few things that are like, oh, it's Florida is cheap.
No,
You know what I mean?
not
That's
more.
not
Yeah,
anymore.
that's the belief, but it's like you look at houses in Miami, crappy houses in Miami, like 1,200 square feet, are like $4 million.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's a 1,200 square foot house for $4 million. It's like, so I don't know what this whole notion that what he's doing is like, oh, this is a free estate. It's also one of the most expensive states now in the
Yeah.
whole union. And so DeSantis, I polling wise, his numbers should drop drastically in Florida because he's doing a terrible job in Florida. But I don't know about
he's gonna fall. He's gonna fall off completely, I think. And and Trump is not focusing on any of the other people. So if Trump is attacking him left and God, I would say left and right, and it makes me want to make a joke about like left and right politics every time. It's distracting to me. Anyways,
no.
I think DeSantis is gonna fall off completely because he's gonna get all the heat. Trump and DeSantis are gonna get all the attacks.
Yeah,
So
I think
it
Ron
opens a
DeSantis.
spot for somebody to drive in, take second at least.
Yeah, I think what happens is the first debate DeSantis is done.
I
think-
agree.
Yeah, because he's not a good debater. He's always hid behind, like even when he debated Andrew Gillum when he ran for governor the first time, he got tore apart. It was like he was a terrible debater. Even when he ran against Charlie Crist, when everyone knew Charlie Crist was going to lose, he still lost the debate to Charlie Crist.
Yeah.
No one was going to vote for Charlie Crist. And now it's like you're going to go against Trump. I've watched Trump take it down 11, 12 different experienced politicians in the debate stage. Now you're telling me you're going to come out a very poor, because the thing about presidential races, it all goes to the debates. Debates make or break these campaigns when there's 15 people. And it's like you have to be quick. You have to know how to sound bites. You have to know what you're saying. You have to come off competent and presidential in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he is so used to this whole cocoon of like for the
Positive media attention.
yeah, positive media attention for the politics. He has a mic and he just talks and he's like,
Yeah.
the free states and I just talk. He talks like that real.
I think his best moments are like his press releases that are scripted, and he already
Yeah,
has a plan. And but the second you see him get any sort of pushback, you
he
can
gets
just see his
flustered.
face get red. He gets so visibly nervous, kind
Yeah,
of like it makes me think of like Richard Nixon in that debate you mentioned earlier,
yeah,
where
JFK debate.
he just looked
I,
so nervous.
he does, and he looks at almost every debate I've ever seen him do.
He's just
And
not
so
very confident.
yeah, and I think that's going to come off when he goes against Trump because Trump doesn't care what he says. Trump will say anything. He doesn't care. And DeSantis is what DeSantis is? He's Marco Rubio. And a lot of
Yeah,
people don't
I think
realize
so.
that.
I
He
think
knows
so.
his talking points. He's going to stick to his talking points. He can't go off script. He's not an off script kind of guy. So that's why I think Chris is going to do a number on him. And Chris is gonna probably hang with Trump a little bit, and then eventually Trump will just separate himself from him.
Tim Scott is playing the lane where he's like, I'm a moderate and I'm a gentleman. I value like civil discourse.
Yeah,
While Chris Christie is playing the moderate lane, but he's playing as Trump. So I
yes.
think that I could definitely see it ending up being uh, somewhere down the primary. It's only Trump, DeSantis, Christie, Tim Scott left, and I can see it just ended up the moderates endorsing Chris Christie, and then most of the people endorsing Trump, and I could see it being like just Trump and Christie by the end.
I got my top four. I got Trump, Christie, DeSantis, and Nikki Haley. Top four
I
right
could
there.
believe that either Nikki Haley or Tim Scott will hang in there longer than they should. They're kind of
Yeah,
the John Kasich.
I think South Carolina is going to help Tim Scott a lot, being it's an early primary state,
Yeah,
and that's going to give some
his
momentum.
it's his state.
And then isn't Nikki Haley from South Carolina?
They're both from South Carolina. Yep.
That's going to be interesting. But she was the governor, right? And
Yeah,
he's only been a congressional
and
guy.
he's a senator.
Oh wow!
So they're both pretty prominent.
So whoever wins South Carolina out of him or her, they're gonna come out.
Yeah, they're like in the same lane. It doesn't really make sense that they're both running.
Yeah,
Like two moderate Republicans from South Carolina. I don't know about that. Lindsey Graham's going to announce next. Just kidding.
Oh gosh, no, he's not. He's married Trump so bad he can't. All he can do is wait to be VP.
Lindsey Graham? That'll
Yeah.
never happen, no.
Good old Lindsey. Mike Pence, this guy.
Mike Pence is a moron.
Yeah, like what is up?
But he's also on the anti-Trump crusade. Did you see his video that
Yeah.
was posted today?
Yeah, trying to come off as strong.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you're not strong. If you were strong, you'll stuck up Trump after January 6th. No, you coward. And he called you out on your cowardness. And you're like, it's like you're not Trump. What's his name? Pence is just, he doesn't have swag. That's his
No.
business.
There's
Like-
definitely some really far right evangelical Christians that would vote for him. And I know
Oh, yeah,
the
I
type.
love him.
I know the type. They're like pastors will vote for Mike Pence.
This guy
But
would,
like
this
it's
guy would
not-
pass one day abortion ban the moment he gets to the presidency. We should do one day abortion bans. The moment you find out you're pregnant, you shouldn't have a baby. You shouldn't be able to abort your baby.
yeah.
And it's like, because God said so. You're
It's
like,
just
oh,
so
really?
it's such a dangerous territory, like abortion bans like that, because women are already getting like investigated for having miscarriages. It's just so messy.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just stupid.
how can you prove that kind of stuff? I don't know.
It's so stupid. It's like, bro, why do we keep telling women what to do with their bodies? It's like, bro, do anyone goes, and this is a late night show, so no kids aren't here. No one tells a guy when to go masturbate. Do they? He just doesn't do it. But you're already telling women like, oh, guess what? You can control your organs, but a man can do whatever he wants with his organs. It's like, bro, what are you talking about?
And
It's
on the
just
same
logical.
line, there's also like the trans bathroom bill, where it's like the government is deciding who uses what bathrooms. Like I've seen videos of lesbian, just a regular cisgendered lesbian woman getting arrested or taken out of the bathroom because she's using the bathroom that she's of her sex. Like, she is a woman. She was born a woman. She's just attracted to other women and dresses,
Like
I
a
don't know.
man?
Yeah, or maybe not even, just more down the middle or whatever. And people like called the fucking cops. Like, you're really
It's getting
gonna
crazy.
have cops tell people they can't take a shit in certain bathrooms? Like, what the hell are you doing? And the
If you're
thing
born,
about like cisgendered, or about what they want, is the reality of the bathroom bans. If they want you to use the bathroom of your, like, the gender you were born, or the sex you were born as, you're gonna see women, trans, or you're gonna see trans men with beards who are born women,
Mhm.
in women's bathrooms. So you're gonna have people with beards in women's bathrooms because of the Republican bill. What do you think is more alarming to people? Like, somebody with a beard in a woman's bathroom, or somebody that's was maybe born a different sex that has all the visual displays of the other gender, that, like,
Yeah.
they're dressed like a woman, they're in a woman's bathroom. That's cool. That's not going to alarm anybody. And if it does, then they're a bad person. But if you're born, you see what I'm getting at? Like,
No, I get
you're
it. It's,
having the opposite results of what they think is going to happen.
yeah, and then like I had a professor who said, he was a very smart professor, Professor Carstnarville. I'll never forget him. He said that every policy has unintended consequences that is created,
Mhm.
and the Republicans and their overreach on trans rights has consequences, and they're
Yeah.
going to feel it sooner rather than later, because I believe they're taking it too far. A lot of people think they're taking it too far, and they're going to reap those. They're going to see those consequences at the voting booth.
And all that's going to end up happening is they're just going to militarize, the trans activist base. They're going to give more people reasons to realize that, like, trans rights matter, because they're seeing people actually have their personal liberties taken away. Like, before, it was so much easier to not be like, to look the other way at, like, trans activists. Like, yeah, how big of an issue really is it? But now Republicans are, like, threatening their livelihood. So they're
Yeah,
just going to push people in the opposite direction, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for us, because it's just showing how authoritarian and, like, extreme the Republicans really are. But it's,
mhm.
it's not going to help them in any way. Society always moves in the direction of progress, and push and going super hard against something that's naturally going to happen. Our society's more open about gender expression. It's just going to happen. So they're just accelerating that. So
Exactly.
it's not going to be a major issue in 5-10 years. People are going to be a lot more socially acceptable. 70% of people are supportive of gay marriage. 50% of Republicans are supportive of gay marriage now. It's just society moves where society does. It's not going to be an issue anymore, but, like, they need to fucking take a chill pill.
Yeah, 100%. Asa Hutchinson, is that
Oh yeah. He's not going to even get 1% of the vote.
okay?
Zero charisma, zero name recognition. Governor of Arkansas. I think Doug Burgum will do better than him. Asa
Okay,
Hutchin, there's not a single reason why anybody would vote for him. So,
okay.
like,
What about Larry Eldler?
Larry
Apparently,
Elder, he's the guy who ran against Gavin Newsom here,
yeah.
and he's like a libertarian Republican.
Hmm.
So he'll probably get the libertarian vote, because there's not really like the Rand Paul vote. That's what he's gonna end up getting. Just the people that want to, like, oh, 1 second. He's just yeah, he's just gonna get people who want to, like, abolish federal government programs. Like, I want to eliminate the Department of Education. The people that
Oh,
agree with that kind of shit, they're gonna vote for Larry Elder.
okay. Well, that guy's not smart.
No, he's
Um, what about this guy, Vivek Ramaswamy? I said his name right.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
I said it
Yeah,
wrong.
you got the last name right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
37-year-old with net worth of 600 million was declared himself as an anti-woke capitalist and decried corporate investment based on environmental social governance principles. Jesus.
Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy is a native of Cincinnati, Ohio, and has ties to Senator J.D. Vance and major GOP donor Peter Thiel. Oh, he has
Oh,
good
I
money.
didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's
Let me.
interesting. He's got a lot of money backing him, but he's not a national name at all. He doesn't have a like even Doug Burgum, at least he's a governor. And at least he has like people in at least North Dakota know who he is. Vivek's only call is like he was the first guy to announce. That was it. And he's probably not gonna he probably won't even get 1%. So
Oh, that's a problem. He has 7,000 views one day on YouTube, so that's not really good. If you run for president, if only 7,000 people viewed your video. That's not good. So,
yeah,
Nikki Haley. All right, we talked about her.
yeah.
It's all gonna come down to South Carolina for her. She can't beat whoever. Nikki Haley versus Tim Scott. Whoever wins South Carolina, they'll move forward. But
Yeah, I agree with that.
it all goes down from there. And that's it. That's our list. That's our incredible. That is our. What we say this? All right.
This is gonna be interesting. I'm excited to watch debates, but
Really? Not really. I think Trump's gonna tear everybody apart.
I mean that's gonna be interesting. Either
Yeah,
way, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think.
But
Yeah, as you said earlier, man. A lot of them tie themselves so close to Trump, like early and often, that it's gonna be like, dude, anyone in the debate tries to say, "Oh, I'm against Trump," it's like, bro, you're a hypocrite. Like,
yeah, that's like Chris Christie's problem is because
Yeah.
he's only going after Trump after he didn't get any power. He attacked Trump, then he kissed his ass, but they all kind of did that too. They've all kissed Trump's ass at some point. So I don't know. But the thing is, they are gonna all go after. They're all inherently gonna have to attack Trump. So it's gonna be hard. I could definitely see a lot of Trump's base losing favorability over Trump. I don't think it's gonna help Trump. Maybe he does so well in the debates at covering the ground, but it's like Trump is running on so much delusion that like anybody with common sense can see. Like even like Mike Pence, for example, he's really going after him. Trump cares more about himself than the Constitution. Like they can use conservative rhetoric to make Trump look really bad. So I could definitely see it hurting him. I could even see I don't know. There's like 10% chance Trump is not the nominee. 90% chance Trump is. Like he would have to really, really drop the ball.
Yeah.
But
I mean, no polls. I just don't see it. Let me see. President, Republican. I'm looking at some of these pollings.
yeah,
Trump is killing Tim Scott. It's not even close. It's like 73% versus 14% of vote for Tim Scott. DeSantis is the closest to him, but it's still not that close. It's 34-point difference.
yeah. But like we have to see them debate before any of this because I don't know. People are all just running on the assumption that Trump is unbeatable. So unless they see him really like not do well under the criticism.
And that's why I think it's going to happen. I don't see none of these people who are really good debaters. Like Pence is not a good debater. Scott is too. He's
trying to appeal to too many people.
Yeah, he's not a combative person, so that's not going to work. DeSantis is not a good debater.
Nikki Haley is not that great either at debating.
I've never seen her debate.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen her really debate, but I've seen like her attacks on Trump, and they're very weak. So.
Oh really? Okay, so she's not even good at that. Christie's at polling at 10%. I think by the end, Christie. So
he'd get a third.
He'll get a third. I think that who's going to drop out first is probably going to be all these no-namers.
Asa Hutchinson, Vivek, they're probably going to drop out pretty quickly.
Yeah, after Iowa, they're all going to drop out. And then
there'll probably be like 5 in the real primary, not just like this part.
Yeah, the problem with DeSantis is if he doesn't win Iowa and he doesn't win South Carolina, his chances are going to be like coming from 30% to like 5.
Yeah.
What's the first set? What's the first presidential Republican?
I guess we are. I guess we're really going to cover safety net and Nordic model tomorrow because this just turned into like a DeSantis episode.
Right?
So
Because I'm from the state of Florida. That's why.
that's all right. I mean, he's worth talking about. I'll just mark it as the DeSantis episode, and then tomorrow we'll touch on we'll stay away from presidential politics tomorrow.
Yes,
But
it's all about tomorrow.
we had to cover the elephant in the room. You know, things changed in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Uh, Republican primary schedule. See who they got here. All right. So the first date that's going to go off is Alabama.
Oh, the
Yeah.
debate. I was thinking primaries.
No primaries. No, the primary.
Oh, it
Alabama.
was primary. That's gonna be weird.
That's a weird state.
Yeah, we could see. I could see Mike Pence doing well,
I can see Mike Pence doing very well in Alabama.
which is interesting.
So that might help him. Alaska, I don't know. They gave us Sarah Palin, so I don't really.
Yeah,
take him.
Alaska could go anywhere, honestly.
Yeah, if you elect Sarah Palin to be your governor, I don't really trust your voting.
But
Arizona,
they also have I mean they had the choice of Sarah Palin in this last election. They voted for Mary Peltola. So
yeah, they went Democratic, right?
yeah, so they're a weird state because they also have like a UBI. I guess they'll just sort of turn this into the UBI discussion. I mean, they have a UBI and a social wealth fund. It's not okay. It's not UBI because it's not a basic income. Like it's not like it's not like a standard of living. It's not even consistent. They just get a dividend on their
Yeah,
oil reserves, and like it's a state owned fund that owns the resources and the revenue of the oil production, and they distribute it amongst the people. And that's part of the reason why a super rural, conservative leaning state has like such heterodox politics, and they
yeah.
got ranked choice voting there. Like
Hmm.
they're an interesting state for sure.
Yeah, they're well. Alaska is Alaska,
I'm gonna look
but
up the let's see what's the Alaska Permanent Fund. It's pretty big. Um, it's called the Alaska Permanent Fund. I'm gonna pull this up real quick.
yeah, I'm just looking at this thing, man, and I'm like, within the first after February 1st, most people are going to drop out. Iowa, DeSantis needs to win Iowa. If he loses Trump in Iowa, he's probably done. New Hampshire, Christie has to win New Hampshire. If he doesn't,
I
he's done.
think New Hampshire is interesting too. I think Christie could do really well in New Hampshire.
Yeah, because Iowa is the conservatives, so we got to see who the conservatives get behind, and that's going to probably be Trump. Then New Hampshire is going to be the moderates. We got to see who the moderates get behind. It's probably going to be Christie, and then South Carolina is the deep South, and I'm trying to see who's going to get behind. It's going to be Nikki or Tim Scott, which I think they're going to go Nikki. And then from there, it gets really tough. I mean, what's the next big race that could decide things? And for Tennessee, no. Yeah, by February 1st, we will have only 3 or 4 candidates in there, and they'll just battle out for like 2 or 3 more months. By May and June, this thing should be wrapped up.
This is interesting. I haven't actually read this page.
Yeah.
So 2022, it's not a ton, but annually, Alaskan citizens get about $3,300 in 2022 a year, just by being Alaska citizens.
Yeah, that is definitely a UBI.
It's not consistent because it depends on, it's a shareholder essentially, so you can get like revenue based on how stocks perform, stuff like that. So it changes. It's not consistent, but what was it? You have to be if you're gone. You have to be there in Alaska for like a whole year or something like that.
Yeah, I
Felons don't
think they
get
get like
it.
this for a year.
Let's see. The lowest was $300. So sometimes it's not great, but I mean, it's the Alaska Permanent Fund is $64 billion. It's a large investment pool. I think Norway's let me look up the Norwegian. That one is one of the biggest investment pools like in the world.
Yeah.
I'm like really starting to get into the social wealth fund ideas. Theirs is also tied to oil, because uh, they've nationalized oil essentially. Let's see, 1% is it holds 1% of the world's listed companies. Over $1 trillion in assets is owned by the Norwegian Social Wealth Fund, and it's worth about. Oh, okay. There's some like United States. It doesn't really make sense for us not to do this
Yeah.
because it's not like
Well, we don't like unions here, so
it's not a union. It's a
it's a separate union program where people get the benefit, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong. Don't they get a benefit from shares of the company and stuff like that?
it's a wealth fund. So the government invests money in corporations and companies all around the world,
Yeah.
and they get to decide what's profitable, but it's funds revenue from their oil reserves since
Yeah.
it's nationalized. So all the money that they make in oil, they'll invest that money in the dividends that they distribute amongst Norwegian citizens.
That
So
sounds cool.
divestments. So this is the stuff they're invested in. They're invested in companies all around the world. I don't know. They have a. I'm trying to figure out what's their dividends. I'm
Um,
trying to see if it's more substantial than the Alaskan dividends. Because I don't know if you could fund an entire universal basic income just based on a social wealth fund, but it's a really good way of, you know, socializing profits. Did you end up reading that article I sent you?
uh,
I know
what's
you're busy. It's the last thing I texted you.
today?
No, it was the other day, but there's, let's see.
Just text it to me again.
It's probably the last like two texts if you just look at your phone on there.
Okay.
Concerns. The only thing about this that's people could like argue against is that it's like centralizing investments to an extent.
Is
So
it the
it's like the state has to decide what's profitable and what's worth investing in.
is
So
it the
that's
Social Wealth Fund for America?
yeah, the Matt Brunig article.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's worth reading about. It's just universal basic income is very costly, but
Hmm.
it's not impossible to raise the revenue for that. There's so many ways that we could do it. Literally just by like the way we finance, like we don't even really have to raise taxes in theory. Like if you think about how much money we can save by like changing our healthcare system or by reducing the military budget and wasteful waste. Just by cutting waste, we could invest all that money in a universal basic income for American citizens, and just providing a floor for every single American. It can end poverty. Like
But
countries like Norway and
mhm,
the Scandinavian countries, they have a poverty rate of like 7 to 9%. In the United States, it's like 17%.
yeah,
We have twice the poverty rate as Nordic countries.
it's insane.
So there's just so many things we can do to improve the quality of life. I'm sure we'll touch on all sorts of the policy positions tomorrow that the Norwegian. When I say Nordic doesn't just mean Norwegian. It's kind of confusing, but Scandinavian, I don't.
Yeah,
They kind of mean like
Is Sweden part of the Nordic people?
yes, the Nordic. Let's look to be more specific.
Yeah, you don't want to offend the Nordic people. These guys are tough people. They're very tough.
Nordic countries: Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden.
Yep, good Swedish. I can say I love IKEA. So go Sweden. All right.
Well,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
if you look at I mean, they have a lot larger state ownership in so many industries, but it results in much. They're also like one of the highest quality of lives in the world. Like if you look at like happiness rating, you see like every single one of these countries is in like the top 10 or 15. While the United States, it's one of the least corrupt. They have strong property rights. They also have really low uh, corporate tax rate,
Mm,
which is interesting because like leftists would think that we want to tax corporations a lot higher, right?
yeah.
But it doesn't translate really to a tremendous amount of revenue, and it just like makes businesses not want to come to the United States or whatever. So it just makes a lot more sense to just tax the rich people after they make their money than make it a lot harder for businesses to operate.
That is true. That
So
way, you're really going after the people instead of the actual business.
they
I know.
also don't have a minimum wage in the Nordic countries, but they have sectoral bargaining and they have strong unions so that they kind of do that negotiation from within instead of having a nationally mandated minimum wage. So it's a lot better for small businesses to start too. But
Yeah.
so it's like the United States is doing all the wrong policies.
Well, our policies are geared towards. It's weird. I think that our policies are more. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
But it is broke, and that's the problem because we're not acknowledging that it's broken, but we're trying to piecemeal. You know, real big issue with our policy is we're trying to. We have 1950 policies for 2023 problems,
yeah,
and most countries they're able to be more amenable. They change.
yeah,
You know, we're not. We don't change. And that's only because really our politicians are so old, and you're not gonna get a old dog to do new tricks.
yeah,
They know that they grew up on these policies since they were in the 1950s and 1940s, and it's 2023, and you have China, which is a socialist country, moving 10 times faster than us, and it's because they can do that because they're a socialist government. We have a lot of our governments. It's a democracy, so we have to get elected to move the country forward, and it's hard to get elected when you have just an old regime and an old political system in place. It it's not designed to move fast. I mean, that's it's kind of the way
yeah.
the father
Well,
fathers created it.
there is like the constitutional barriers in the way
Yeah,
that we're designed. It's not even the filibuster is not even in the Constitution. The filibuster is
oh, yeah,
something we
that's
created
yeah,
recently to make policy stagnant. But I think part of the reason is like we have such old politicians, like you said, and they are alive during post World War II, post Great Depression era. They're just so afraid of. They're so risk adverse, which is
yes,
ironic for like a capitalist country because you're that's the whole idea. Is like risk comes with rewards, and
hmm
if we allow people to take risks, we can you know the more freedom people have, the better results we'll get. But we're just so afraid of doing anything that could actually to even marginally improve our politics because they're so afraid of economic downturn.
yep,
So, and obviously that's something that's really important. We need to take care of that. But we're also held hostage by the wealthy people in the society because all of our companies' revenue relies on the stock market, which is stocks are owned by like 10% of the population owns stocks, and even less, and even 1% owns like a majority of the 10%. It's just if we enact policies that would threaten them, then they pull back investment, and we have an economic downturn. We're held hostage by doing the bidding of rich people, essentially.
Yeah.
And which is part of why I'm talking about the social wealth fund and ideas of expanding capital. Capital isn't inherently the problem. It's the fact that most of society is prevented from accessing capital and profits. So if we have more people investing and we have more people have a stake in the companies, then it's not relying on just a handful of people in getting their approval to enact any of these policies.
I agree.
So we just have to figure out how to diversify stock ownership in society.
And
And
that's
there's a lot of ideas. I mean, I'm not as sure if we need a purely cooperative society, because we don't want every single person to have all of their all of their investments just in the company that they work at.
yeah,
But also, like, it doesn't really make sense that you are completely separated from the profits of the company that you create the value for, and rich people make all the money by just letting you borrow money that they made based on having money that was given to them because they're from rich families. Like, at the end of the day, money does not really like, it stays in the same hands, stays in the same families.
yeah. It doesn't transfer. It doesn't move from the old ways.
And if the idea of capitalism is you have all these rich investors, or if you have all these investors who can invest money, and you have a lot more opportunity and risk, and that you can start great innovative ideas, wouldn't you
Yeah,
want more people to have money to invest in, so we have more people having chances and taking risks, instead of, it's a way of centralizing investments by just having rich people, just the same 1% of population, deciding what is worth investing in,
yeah.
what companies are worth, you know. That's what I was saying, essentially.
No, you're right, and I think we're gonna dive deep into that tomorrow.
Yeah.
The co-ops and what plans, especially the Nordic system they have. And we're gonna dive deep into this topic and see what would it look like if America actually were to transform its economic driving force, which is
Yeah.
a more a redefined look at capitalism.
Yeah,
Um,
a social democratic system is
yeah,
not a purely capitalist or a purely socialist system, even though it relies heavily on private investment. Social
hmm
democracy takes the best qualities of every economic system, in theory, to create equal opportunity, to create thriving marketplaces, to create fairness in the marketplace. So it's kind of, there's marginal flaws to social democracy. Like, it does rely on really high tax rates and a lot of cash transfers, when to me it makes a lot more sense for, like, instead of us taxing rich people who have all the money, like, how about we make it so that not all the money is made by rich people, so that we don't have to continually, like, redistribute money. If it was distributed properly in the first place, it'd make a lot more sense. But we haven't seen a society similar to that. The closest is Norway. So we'll touch into what they do specifically to to use the best qualities of both a socialist economy and a capitalist economy.
all right. Yeah. So, guys, with that preview, we're gonna see you guys next week. Excuse me, tomorrow. Jesus, I'm so used to saying next week.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, where we're gonna dive deep into some great social programs that we believe that we want to see here in America. And like Seth said, we should start by researching the Nordic system
Yeah.
and and then start there, and then let's see how that can
It just
affect.
makes more sense. Like, if you want to have the best country in the world, look at what the every single country in the world is doing, and what countries do what policies best. It doesn't make sense that we don't follow suit.
There it is. I don't need to say anymore. Seth is right. So, guys, look forward to seeing you tomorrow and talking to you tomorrow, guys.
All right, it's been a pleasure. Everybody have a great, I was gonna say great week also. Have a great night, and we'll be back. Same
Okay,
time
night.
tomorrow.
Same time tomorrow.
TTYL.